Alright, so tonight we're reading, what are we reading? Cinderella, Bedtime for Gus.
Are we a big one?
Page 125.
Oh, wait a minute. It's Cinderella on there?
Mm-hmm.
They're on there?
Mm-hmm. Page 125.
Wait a minute. Is that Cinderella?
Yeah, Cinderella, page 125.
Oh, is that Cinderella?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go to the story so that we can actually see it. Alright, so that was Brother Bear. Let's get the pillow so it can be propped up a little.
Right.
Alright, so here we are. Walt Disney's Cinderella, Bedtime for Gus. Cinderella looked out her bedroom window as the sun was setting over the horizon. The sky was golden orange in the distance. The clock in the tower of the castle read 8 o'clock. Cinderella leaned over and tapped gently on the walls of her attic room. "Bedtime, everyone," she called. Jack, Susie, Gus, and the other mice hurried out of their mouse hole.
That one?
No. Cinderella did all the household chores in her wicked stepmother's house. She never had any time for fun, so the birds and mice were her only friends. "Bedtime already?" Jack cried. Bedtime?" Gus asked. Gus was Cinderella's newest mouse friend. She had just rescued him from a trap that morning. "Bedtime, Gus, Gus," Susie explained. "Close eyes and fall asleep." Gus looked confused. He closed his eyes and then started to tip over. Oh my gosh. Gus is the silly one, right? That is Cinderella. Jack caught him. "Not fall, Gus, Gus," he said. "Fall asleep like this." He put his head on his hands and pretended to snore. Cinderella laughed. "Falling asleep isn't all there is to bedtime," she said. "Gus has never lived in a house before. We'll have to teach him about getting ready for bed."
Oh, Addie, can I teach me?
"Okay, okay," the other mice cried. "Show Gus, Gus." First...
Oh, wait a minute. Is that Gus, Gus?
That's Gus, Gus, yep. First, Cinderella said, "You have to put on your pajamas." She went to her dresser and pulled out a tiny pair of striped pajamas for Gus. "Here, try these on." Soon, all the mice were dressed in their pajamas.
Oh,
Gus even wore a pair of cozy slippers.
Cinderella's favorite dress?
That's, yeah, probably. "That's better," Cinderella declared. "Pajamas are much more comfortable for sleeping than regular clothes." Gus nodded. "Gus Gus loves pajamas," he exclaimed. "Gus Gus wear pajamas all the time." Cinderella smiled. "I'm glad you like your pajamas, Gus, but they are only for when you're sleeping." The mouse nodded. Now sleep, Cinderella," another mouse cried.
Mommy.
Cinderella smiled. "Not quite yet," she said. No, they're getting cleaned up for bedtime. They're getting their teeth brushed and their faces washed. Cinderella smiled. "Not quite yet," she said to the young mouse. "First, wash your faces and brush your teeth. When you're all scrubbed and brushed, I'll kiss you goodnight, and then Susie will tuck everyone in." Gus began to brush his teeth. He said with a smile, tasting the minty toothpaste. The other mice giggled and finished up. Gus watched carefully, and before long he was done too.
He brushed his teeth too?
Yep.
Oh, he's not.
Tuck in, Gus asked. Jack pulled him toward the wash basin. "Not yet, Gus, Gus," he said. He handed him some soap. Gus looked puzzled, but he watched as the other mice washed their faces with tiny cloths and patted themselves dry with some old rags. Then he did the same. When the mice were all neat and clean, Cinderella kissed each one of them goodnight. "It's time for everyone to go to sleep," she said sweetly. "Follow me," Jack told Gus. He ran over to his little bed and hopped in. Then he pointed to the bed next to him. "That's your bed," he said. Gus grinned and got under the covers. Susie tucked in each of the mice. Story, Cinderella, the mice cried. Story? Cinderella smiled.
Cinderella?
That's Susie. She's tucking all the mice in. Cinderella smiled. All right, she said. Once upon a time, there was a young prince who lived in a beautiful castle. He had everything that money could buy. Fine clothes, jewels, paintings, and more. But something was missing. He didn't have anyone special to love. She continued the story for a long time. Each time she tried to stop, the mice begged for more. After a while, they couldn't keep their eyes open anymore. It was just too late.
Their feet out.
Yeah.
So they're too big.
When the last mouse had fallen asleep, Cinderella tiptoed to her own bed and climbed in. Still thinking about the bedtime story, dreaming of tales of adventure and romance made her forget her life of chores. Gus began to snore. Cinderella giggled and pulled up her covers. She glanced once more at the clock on the castle tower. Oh my, she murmured sleepily. If the mice had their way, I'd be telling tales until midnight. She snuggled against her pillow and yawned. If only, she added, some of my stories would come true.
At the end?
Did we miss a page here? It doesn't seem like this should be the end. The birds began to sing a lullaby, and soon Cinderella was fast asleep, dreaming that someday she'd live in a beautiful castle. The end. This next story is Ratatouille. It's about a mouse, or a rat, I guess, more like it. A mouse that cooks dinner. What do you think about a mouse that cooks dinner?
A mouse are scary. They bite.
They bite? You don't want them to cook your dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah? You got your baby doll here?
No mouse.
All right, miss.
I don't want no mouse.
I love you.
Her.
I love you.
I love you.
Good night.
Good night.
I can't see Addie. I want to see Addie. There she is.
Good
Good night.
Good night.